Hello everyone and welcome to this inaugural episode of the UnwAIred podcast series from VASS. My name is Chris Brown. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Intelygenz, which is a department of VASS company that specializes in AI production deployments. Now I'm going to level with you from the very beginning here that podcasting is brand new to me, but I'm thrilled to have alongside me my co-host Frankie, who is our Director of Data and AI here at VASS company. Welcome, Frankie. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great being here today, and I'll try to help you as much as I can with this podcasting thing.
You got to promise to try and hold my hand through this, Frankie, as we get through this first episode. But we've got a fantastic series lined up. We've got a great set of topics to cover over the next few weeks. All different subjects across the AI range. But I thought, let's have a look at what we've got planned for today. And just introduce the episode, if you don't mind, please, Frankie.
Yeah, sure. We're going to be speaking about AI. We've all heard speak about AI, but there's a lot of confusion around it. Many different news, many different media speaking about things that are complex for businesses and also for people, for society as well. So we need to try to make sense, especially when we bring this AI significance to the business side of the world. Anyway, we have to keep up with a technology that is always evolving. We know that there are some things some challenges that we need to address. So we'll be speaking with a lot of people who knows a lot about artificial intelligence, and they're going to help us to try to clarify all those things.
That's great, and I'm really looking forward to the series. I think we've got some great guests lined up. We've got some great topics to talk about. But I think a good place to start, right? I think we should dive in. And I want to ask you a question, because if I'm sitting at home, right, I'm a listener, and I'm listening to this podcast. I happen to stumble across this podcast in the ether, right? And I'm figuring out, should I pay attention to AI? Is it for me? Should I care? Right? Who should be caring about AI? Or is it just for the heavy tech guys over in Silicon Valley? Or should you be paying attention to the subject of AI? What would you say to that?
Well, I would say that if you live in society these days, and I think most of the people do, you need to take care, and you should care about AI, because it's everywhere around you. It's everywhere as a person, and it's everywhere as a company, as I was saying before. This is not only for something for tech, cutting-edge companies in Silicon Valley. It's for everyone all over the world right now. And we know that some of the best companies are in US, also in Europe, and also in China and other countries around. So, we can say that this is something global and relevant for all kinds of industries, from health to industry to retail, whatever sector or market that you think of, they will be using AI to optimize the operations. Also, for instance, enhance the customer experiences. So there are many different things that they can do to leverage artificial intelligence. And if we think about how people can perceive, for instance, your mobile phone is full of applications that use artificial intelligence to improve the pictures that you take, for instance, or just to talk with some of those applications. And at some point we'll show that we'll speak about ChatGPT, and ChatGPT has an application that you can interact speaking with. So it's something that we all have. And also, it's not only one thing for leisure, but it's also something that we can leverage as people, for instance, because it helps us to avoid fraud. And as fraud is not only important for banks, for instance, it's also for us people. So we can consider that it can help and it can protect in some ways. And I know that not everybody thinks the same. There are different opinions about these matters, but I'm sure that we'll get those opinions on the next episodes.
Well, I was wondering how far we're going to get through, how many episodes we're going to get through before we said ChatGPT. And we didn't even make it 5 minutes, right? Which is unsurprising. It's incredible technology. Yeah. But yeah, you win the record, right? We got 5 minutes and we said the words ChatGPT. So I'm sure that'll come up many times over the next weeks as we go through these different topics.
And it has changed the AI world as we know it today, and as we knew it a year ago. So I think it's definitely something that we need to dive in.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to try and get Jonas, who's our head of our AI practice at Intelygenz, on one of these podcasts. He's not a guy of many words, right? But I'm going to try and get him on to talk about that exact subject in a few weeks' time, because where we started 9 years ago to where we are now, you say AI is moving fast. I mean, 9 years is like light years in the world of AI. We're talking about things that can move in milliseconds and just at speeds of new developments that we've just never seen before, where we're developing projects that we just wouldn't take the same approach again, and we're 6 months down the line, not even 6 months down the line, and the same approach is not the most efficient and valid approach anymore. So yeah, it's definitely moving quickly.
Yeah, and at the same time, continue with the ChatGPT thing, we need to make sure.
Twice now.
Yeah,
twice,
I know that. But we need to make sure that we all know that is not the only way to have AI or to create AI, because we've been dealing, like you say, for a long time with many different algorithms and solutions that apply artificial intelligence to, we can say, make the world better. Or that's the thing that we should aspire to. So we'll try to have someone also to speak about what's beyond ChatGPT. So what other kind of applications, what other kind of methods and algorithms even we can use to embrace artificial intelligence and leverage it as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that you make. I think there's so much hype around AI, and a lot of that hype right now is also focused very intensely on GPT or ChatGPT or the underlying model of GPT, and we live and breathe in this world of AI deployments day in, day out. That's what we do as a business, and I can tell you there's a lot of great work and great projects and great solutions out there that are beyond GPT, right? Beyond large language models, beyond generation. The world seems to have forgotten a little bit about classifications and detections and predictions, right? So that world is still there. So it is about cutting under the hype and looking for where in your organization, where in your business can you adopt AI for good, right? For making those efficiencies, those gains, seizing those opportunities, those growth opportunities within your business. And it's key that we don't just get laser focused on large language models and generative AI in its own right. As amazing as it is, it is fantastic, and we do a lot of work in that space. But when you're starting your journey, it's really important to keep that breadth of vision, right? To really start to think about what it is that your organization needs from a business. It's no different to any other business challenge you look at. AI or non-AI, right? We shouldn't be starting with the technology. We shouldn't be starting with the art of the possible in technology. We should be starting with what is it that we want to achieve? What are the things, what are the challenges that we're trying to address? And then work out on the map of AI capabilities, where should I be picking a solution? Where should I be targeting, the kinds of models and the kinds of approaches that I want to take in order to solve that challenge? But that really should come first. And I think it's a topic I want to talk a little bit about today, because even the way we consume AI has massively changed in such a short space of time, and I'm going to be guilty of it now, accelerated by OpenAI, accelerated by other foundation models that are coming to the market. Because if I think back, 9-10 years ago when we started our first journey on the new dawn of AI, really we were looking at custom-built models from scratch, taking models from academia, changing those models, having to host those models, train those models. And the world has changed so dramatically and drastically. That's still a valid approach for a lot of our projects, but it's not our only opportunity now, right? So if you start to look at some of the historic reports, and you can pick any of these clever industry studies, but you'll see numbers like 85%, over 85% of AI projects never make it into production. That means 85% of AI projects never have an impact on ROI. or have minimal impact on ROI at best. And those numbers are tumbling, and part of that I should clarify, those numbers are improving. The 85%
Yes.
number is tumbling, right? It's getting better. It's getting more successful in terms of AI results, and a lot of that is down to the consumption methods of AI, and it's a topic I talk a lot about to our clients, and it's a topic that I think is overlooked, but it should be really, in my opinion, the first topic that you're considering when you're going on this AI journey.
Yeah. So especially when you want to get the ROI, the best ROI for your business, you need to use different methods of consumption, depending on the situation they have, the context you have, the money you have, the investment, the maturity, the level of maturity that you have in your company. So maybe you can just go on and tell us what are those three methods and explain it a little bit.
Yeah. So the ROI point that you make is really important, right? You got to be eyes on the prize of this. Is not a technical exercise. When you're deploying this and you're investing in any technology, including AI, in your business, ordinarily you're looking for an ROI. You're looking for some return on that investment in order to create a gain for your organization in some way, shape, or form, and that's really important. But it is not the only consideration when you're thinking about consumption of AI. So if we address roughly where we see the three layers of consumption today, very different from just that custom model, that model from scratch example. Again, still a valid foundation for any solid project, and some really good benefits for taking that route. But it's heavy, right? You've got to manage that whole AI life cycle. Your data's got to be managed really well. It's not just about focusing in the model exploration, the model selection, all that sexy AI work from the data scientist in the middle, which is super sexy. We get that, right? But you've also got to then get it out of the lab into production, version control, all the ML ops piece, right? You're going to be responsible in the custom world for all of that piece. You've got to manage that real end-to-end life cycle. And that's why we saw numbers like 85% of projects were not making it, because the tools weren't ready, the capabilities weren't ready. That is maturing. Even at this layer, that's maturing really well, and those numbers are getting more and more successful. But above that layer, we've got two other layers of consumption. The next one is model as a service, and at the top we've got off-the-shelf AI capability. And let me jump to the top, and then we'll work my way back down to model as a service. So if you think about off-the-shelf capabilities in AI, this is where the hard work of the AI training, all of the model selection, getting the data in the right space, that's all been done, right? It's been done by these incredible companies, and the map of off-the-shelf AI capabilities and solutions now is just exponentially just growing like crazy. And all of those high-powered AI solutions, you don't need any AI capability. You're starting to consume them like software as a service, because that hard work's been done, right? So now in this world, you're getting things like voiceover, 11labs.io. I pick one from top of my head. So 11labs.io, creating really authentic voiceover on videos. Maybe they'll apply it to my crazy accent, right? And they'll do an 11labs.io on top of this podcast. I don't know, maybe, right? But it's that's an off-the-shelf capability where you're using an incredible power of AI in the audio space to generate very authentic human voice that was more or less impossible 3 years ago.
Yeah.
More or less impossible 3 years ago. Now it's an off-the-shelf capability. You subscribe, very cheap, and low capability from a consumer point of view, because the hard work's all been done. And as I say, there's a map of all of these. SAP are delivering capabilities within their portfolio of products. Salesforce, all of these platform companies are creating built-in AI capabilities that are going to really optimize your business. But I go back to those considerations. ROI is one of them. When you think about, well, why am I doing this? Why am I embarking on my AI journey? If part of that is I want to create differentiation, well, off the shelf, maybe isn't the place you want to go. If you want to create optimization and you want to create efficiency, that's a great place to go, right? It's a great place to go. But differentiation, it's unlikely because these tools are available to everyone to consume at low price. So they're really aimed at optimization and efficiency. So this is what I mean about that. Those considerations, right? They're low cost, they're fast. You don't need high skills, but you're not going to get much differentiation. You're not going to create any IP for your organization, right? But for efficiency, and if they fit exactly what you wanted, they're rigid, right? So that your data has to match the use case, the hypothesis you're trying to solve for. 11labs.io does incredible voiceover, but it's not going to do product prediction or churn prediction or classification of inbound tickets, right? It's not what it's built to do. It's rigid. It's built to do one thing. So you low flexibility, but really great place to get started on your AI journey if you're starting to think, hey, how do I just start to play with these capabilities that are in the market? So we've got that. Now you can imagine that 85% of unsuccessful projects is tumbling when you come to this, because now I'm just consuming really successfully. Now it's just, you just have to apply it to your solution. So that's a great place for that kind of consumption. The second, that second layer that we didn't talk about, I talked about the custom layer at the bottom, that model as a service, like here, this is where I'm going to say it, ChatGPT, right? This is, well, it's not ChatGPT, it's GPT, right?
LLMs really in general.
LLMs in general, right? Or they may be LLMs, they could be any foundational model that is being trained with hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of hours, hundreds of millions of compute hours, right, in training time, that are just so powerful on solving very general issues. And these are models like GPT, like Bard, like DALL-E, where you can start to lighten the load. You can still get to custom model, but you're lightening the load on that wide AI life cycle in terms of how much you have to cope with as a business. And you start to get extreme power and extreme customization, because you can take that foundation model and you can start to tune it with different techniques, whether it's prompt engineering, whether it's RAG. You can enhance it with your own data sets privately, and you can really start to get to a very powerful custom model that is impactful to your business, very unique. Now you are starting to drive differentiation within your business. But there are other considerations for software, so model as a service as well, right? That are in that stack of conversation. So things like, can I legally use the model? Because you're no longer hosting it. You no longer have the choice on where that model's hosted. And if you have a challenge or a solution that requires data that can't leave your firewall, for example, well, model as a service is today is not applicable, right? So, and if you're not considering that when you start, you can end up with a great technical solution because you've taken some synthesized data or some data you're allowed to leave your firewall, and you've trained this model, and then you get to production like, oh, I actually can't use it in inference. I can't use it in real time because this data can't leave my firewall. Well, that's a question you need to be asking way up front to keep yourself out of that 85% number, right? You need to be asking that. Or you might have a sovereign data issue. Your data may be allowed to leave the firewall. You can go to the cloud, but these models are hosted in certain countries. And if your country is, and the data you're dealing with can't leave the country, you've got the same problem, right? So the legal T's and C's, you've got to understand the commercial model. The model of the LLMs are incredibly powerful, and they tend to be very reasonably priced today. But if you're hitting them with massive amounts of API calls into that commercial boundary, you need to be very careful on your commercial considerations, that you might outprice yourself, where you need to go and think about a different solution, a different consumption method, or be really clever within your project and architecture, the way you're minimizing those tokens that are hitting the LLM or whatever the foundation model is that you're using. So again, you're really looking at these considerations are super important. And if you got past the first question, which I agree was a leading question, right, of should I care about AI? Of course, I think you should care about AI. The next step is really to don't jump over this whole, how should I consume? How should I select my challenge, and how should I consume AI? That is the place I would start.
You've said many interesting things.
Wow, that was a monologue for a
No, don't worry,
podcast,
don't worry.
wasn't it? I told you I was new to this, Frankie.
Okay, I'll try to. I have a couple of things that I think that we can discuss as well. One of them is behind all of this that we've been talking about. I think that there's the concept of AI democratization. And this is only not just for small companies, but also for big companies, because you were speaking about foundational models, and these foundational models have been built first with tons of data, tons of information coming from different places, and there are only a few companies in the world who have the power and the money to invest and develop these models. And then these models can be used, enhanced, and tuned by other companies to make them something personalized for them, for the particular challenges or the projects that they want to solve. So this is something that has really made the using of these advanced AI projects something that every company can use. What do you think about this?
I think absolutely spot on. I think the amount of investment that has gone into foundational models can only be achieved by a handful of companies in the world. Mm-hmm. There's no question about that. Handful of companies and maybe a couple of governments, right, that can afford the level of investment that has gone into creating these foundation models, and having those presented back out to the world in a commercial model. I'm okay with that. There's a lot of investment gone into it. I think the right word is democratizes the access to incredibly powerful AI for companies to start to access that power, that capability, to tune it to their very specific need. That wasn't possible from less than a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Were we talking about ChatGPT? Time flies for me. I can never remember, but I don't think we were talking about ChatGPT maybe a year ago, right? But it's not much more than that, right? It's incredible the speed that it's come on, and it will go beyond that, right? It will go beyond. There'll be orchestration of different large language models. There'll be orchestration of different foundation models with different capabilities, vision models, a whole plethora of capabilities that are coming out there. But that movement to expose that investment to the market and allow organizations to piggyback on that investment. But that's really what's happening, piggybacking on that training investment that happened in order to just do the final yard or the final meter, as we're in Spain, right, of training is just opened all avenues for all people. And I don't even think it's just businesses. I think you're finding in your daily life, in your daily consumer world, you'll be finding that you're accessing tons more of AI because they've opened up that investment and they've moved it for profit. But that's
it's always
I'm
there.
okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. There's a lot of money and a lot of time and investment went into that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a great one. I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but
I have another topic, if you don't mind.
I would like to ask you a question. No,
okay,
you might.
Great.
If we've got even more time, you can choose your topic. But I'd like to ask you a question, right? Because you're involved, and I've done a lot of talking, Frankie, right? So I think I should open the floor to you. But you've implemented a lot of AI projects over the years, a lot, right? Is there anything, any hint, any tip you would give to someone that's embarking on their AI journey, aside from the consumption conversation we just had there, on how they could maximize the ROI of their project? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, no worries. It's fine for me to speak about that. And it's true, I've been working on AI for a long time, more than 25 years. So it's
don't age yourself, Frankie. We're looking great under these lights. Don't age yourself.
Okay, yeah, I'm not. I don't. Maybe I look younger than I am. I'm not sure. But it's the first years. It was like everything was manual, artisanal. You needed to do everything with small steps, and it was really difficult to put a project in production. But now it's so easy that it's also easy to, to misuse the money, misinvest the money. So what I'd say, if you want to in some way to maximize the ROI and try to ensure that the project that you're going to start, the AI project that you're going to start, is going to be successful. Maybe not in terms of the results, because that is something with AI that is not always easy to know before. But at least if you want to be sure that you're going to do everything by the book, the first thing I would say is you have to start small. You need to try to define and execute a small project and see how it goes. If it goes well, if the results are okay, if the business people understand what you're doing and the impact that it's going to have on the company, then it's time to take the next steps, which will be to improve the models, to get more training data, to test it with more people, more customers sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would say start small and scale gradually. That would be the...
Yeah, and I think considering that multi-dimensional capability of scale, right? Because you can scale a project through volume, right?
Yep.
You're pushing more through the solution that you've got. You can scale your project through accuracy. So you're putting more investment into improving the accuracy, where the results that are coming out the other side, you're catching more of those results because you're being more accurate. I think you can scale by adding use cases, right? So there's all of this multi-dimensional scaling, because like we talk to a lot of clients as well, and there's never a shortage of lists, right? So you start the whole, I want to do AI, I want to do AI. Well, what do you want to do with AI? I don't know what I want to do with AI. Well, maybe we should start there. And so we help and we guide them through that conversation, and you come out at the end, and it's never a list of one, right? There's always like a laundry list of, here's all the things now that I've understood what the art of the possible is, and understood my business, spent some time looking at the business challenges, because we don't ask them to look, I go back to the conversation, we're not asking them to look at the technology, we're asking them to look inside their business and say, we ask them questions like, if I could predict anything in my business that would improve, what would it be? Or if I could classify, or if I knew this was going to happen, or if I knew how to deal with this situation that has already happened, or if I could create this, and so we're putting it into more words of business speak. I mean, you can still hear we're in the generative classification, prediction world, but we're trying to present those questions in a way where people are taking the technology out of their head. They're trying to forget about what they've heard in the media, and they're really focused on their business. And then we can start to look at it. So, and then that laundry list again that I talked about before. That's a way to scale. So you might want to start small on many different things, or you might want to start small and grow that one thing. So that's another piece of thinking about how am I going to scale my approach to AI as well. So yeah, your point is really valid. Your point is really valid.
And I think that we should say that we can never forget that AI or an AI project is part of a product. The product can be used by employees of the company in different ways. It can be used by customers also in different ways, but it's always part of a product. So these models, these artificial intelligence projects, need to align with the product. That this is something that not always happens. As a product owner, you need to know what the artificial intelligence can help you with, and if you really need it. Sometimes we don't need to create a really complex project for this, and we have some other solutions that are going to be easier to manage in some ways. And this, just one more thing about this. Even when you have the project in production, the product in production, and it's working, most of the times you're going to see that the models that you generate, that the artificial intelligence is going to behave differently, or is going to be behind the behavior of the consumers, of the employees, or the customers, because they change with the time. Everything changes with the time, and the model needs to adapt to those changes. So you need to be retraining the models every time, and trying to even try to be better than what's going to come, than what's going to change in the real world.
Yeah, there is a lag, right? There can be a lag, and that lag needs to be managed. And again, how you deploy your solution, it's complex, right? It's complex. It's still, I always say the solutions that we go after for our client are poetically simple from a business perspective. I want to detect an error in this image. So I take an image of a product. I want to know, is it broken or not, right? It's not hard to understand, right? It's very easy to understand. The complexity is in the piece you just talked about there. Even putting a solution in the lab can be, if you have the right skills, the right capabilities, it can be pretty straightforward. But managing that loop in production that you talked about, minimizing your lag, understanding how you're going to cope with that in the world of the operations of your business, they're critically important non-technical considerations or non-functional considerations that you need to make sure are considered in that whole approach. Good point and well brought up. I'm going to stop us there because I haven't been keeping track of the time, but I think we're probably out of time. I'm going to look over here and find out, I think we're out of time. I think it was a good starter for 10 for this series, right, Frankie? I think, we covered that AI likely matters to a lot of people in a lot of businesses, in a lot of areas. And also that whole consumption consideration, the ROI consideration. And I'm really looking forward to the future episodes, to the coming episodes, because I think we've set a foundation, hopefully, to dive deeper into some of the things we talked about today with specific topics in either specific industries or specific technologies that we're looking at, how times are changing. And this is only the beginning, right? It's only the beginning of the series, and I hope everyone tunes back in a couple of weeks, because I'm going to have a conversation with Chris VASS, a good friend of mine and client of ours at Contention, and posing the question to Chris of what has AI done for marketing recently. So I'm really looking forward to that, a more industry focused.
Sounds really, really good. And as you said, we just scratched the surface of AI, so we need to deep dive into that in the next episode. So we'll try to. I'm sure we're going to have the most interesting people here.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for holding my hand through my first ever podcast.
It was easy.
Frankie.
It was easier than you think.
Well, I can talk. I can talk. It's been said. So again, thank you for joining me. I look forward to the future episodes, and we'll leave it there for today.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Cheers. Thanks, Frankie.